Hey there! Welcome to my channel. If you're new, I'm Steven. I'm half deaf, fully gay, on the spectrum, and sober. And if you're returning, welcome back. Either way, I'm glad you're here. And quite honestly, I'm glad that I'm here. The last 2 weeks have been a bit of a whirlwind. I've had some family visiting, and I had a pretty nasty cold. So I've been on the couch and incapacitated and feeling pretty yucky. So I haven't had a chance to make a video, but I'm glad that I'm feeling better and back and able to work on something new and fun for you. So today I want to talk a little bit about overstimulation. So overstimulation is not something that is unique to autistic people. We all get overstimulated in our lives at one point or another, and how could we not? Life is big. There's a lot going on. We have these little pocket computers that we are glued to seemingly 24/7, constantly consuming social media and news and all other types of information. We have families, we have friends, we have work, we have social obligations. There is a lot in our lives, and it is impossible not to get overstimulated at some point, right? Um, but for us autistic folks, that overstimulation can hit a little bit differently. Our brains are wired in such a way that we process sensory input differently than our neurotypical counterparts. Very often, things can feel amplified. Small things feel just as big things, and everything feels like it's hitting us all at once at the same time. We see all the little details, and they all feel equally as urgent and important to us. And sometimes little things can be magnified into big things really fast, and we get overwhelmed. And that could be a challenge sometimes. It can, at the very least, be frustrating and annoying and slow us down. But it can also lead us to states of shutting down or even meltdowns if the overstimulation reaches a fever pitch and we just lose the ability to utilize the tools that we have to bring us back down to a more serene center. Or maybe we just don't have the particular tools for that situation and things just get too much. So it can be very incapacitating. It can be very debilitating or disabling for us. It also can not be a negative. It could be a positive thing. We can be overstimulated, and that can bring us a sense of joy. And for things that light up our minds, our special interests, those are the types of overstimulations that we love and like take us to another place. And that is a very enjoyable thing when it happens. But today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the overwhelming side of it and how that shows up broadly for us and also specifically for me, and maybe share a few examples with you of things that overstimulate me. So yeah, let's dive into it. I have my laptop over here that I'm going to refer to because I took down some notes and I can't remember everything in this crazy crab's nest of a mind of mine. So if you see me looking off camera, that's what I'm doing, just referring to my notes. But some ways that autistic folks get the inkling that we're getting overstimulated is we might feel sensations like needing to escape, or we might have difficulty speaking in the sense of like the words just aren't coming, or we're fumbling over words, or we just need to not talk at all because we need to go a little bit more inside ourselves to restabilize. It might show up in increased stimming, which is, sort of like self-soothing or repetitive behaviors that we do to bring a sense of regulation to our bodies and our minds. We can feel just generally uncomfortable, or we might need to kind of limit the inputs of the sensations that are coming our way. We might cover our ears or close our eyes or just maybe remove ourselves from a situation. It might become difficult for us to process information, right? It might feel, well, I don't know, for me, sometimes when that shows up, it feels like there's like a coagulation of information in my head, right? There's like a traffic jam. Things just keep like piling up on one another, and it gets more difficult to decipher one thing from the other, or things kind of like blend together and bleed together. And it becomes increasingly challenging to, narrowly focus on one piece of information or one thing that somebody said or one point. And it just feels kind of chaotic. We can have emotional reactions for some people that might just be feeling that sensation of the blood boiling, or feeling agitated or angsty. Some people might have more exuberant outbursts. Some people might scream or cry, or let out some other type of vocal emotive response. Some people just might have a complete shutdown and go all the way inward and need to put up a barrier to create some kind of like safe space away from whatever the stimulation might be. And some people might lose all control and have a meltdown. And that could look a million different ways. It's it's very irritating. It's very for me, kind of, when I feel a sense of overstimulation coming on, it really just like puts me on edge, and it makes me hyper aware and hypersensitive of everything that's going on around me. It really starts my mind into this kind of like cyclical rumination. I start to analyze all the little pieces, which I'm already like very aware of as it is, because my mind is wired to like look at every little piece in detail individually. I start to really focus in on each little thing and be like, well, I don't know about that. I don't know about this. And then there's this. And, I can get kind of stuck in these loops of like rationalization and self-justification. And, all kind of rooted in this feeling and space of like, I don't like what's happening right now and I want it to stop. And then like, here are all the reasons why I don't like what's happening and why it should stop, why I deserve the peace or whatever. So I just kind of get like stuck in these like loops and loops and loops. And then like those loops kind of start like building on each other, and it just like turns into this tornado of terror in my mind. It's frustrating. It makes it difficult to focus. It makes everything feel heavier than it actually is. It also, brings about a little bit of a sense of embarrassment and shame, because I am aware that it's happening, right? I know that it's happening within me. And I also know that it's very difficult for me to hide what's going on the inside when things pass a certain threshold, and you can read it on my face. And so I like know that I'm having these reactions and that I'm kind of crumbling in on myself. And I know that in some way that it's like showing on the outside, but I don't always have like the ability to talk to people about it, because people don't often understand like the level to which that it's happening. And there's also a lot of like ableism, where people like might think that you're overreacting or you're being too sensitive, and you just need to like suck it up and get through it and keep on pushing. And believe me, I wish in my head that that was something that could happen, but it's not something that can happen when it's happening, right? Like it's a cascading effect that I oftentimes don't have a lot of control over, that I might have to tough out, but really it's just more like holding on for dear life until I get through whatever it is. If I get through it at all, like it might just be something that just keeps building and overstimulating me to the point where like I do shut down in some capacity, and I just have to like bear the weight of the situation until it's over, and then I need to go like away to recharge and recenter, and I might not be able to like salvage myself in the middle of the situation, right? And so it can be very challenging to navigate like in the moment when it's happening. It feels very lonely because I don't often find myself surrounded by people who like specifically understand what it is when it's happening. So it's hard, and I don't like it. And and it can often be very unpredictable. Like sometimes it happens reliably with like certain things, but other times like something will come out of nowhere and just like it'll hit me on the right day, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like all of a sudden there I am in that suffocating place, right? So it can be very disorienting. It can be very disheartening. Um, because I don't want to feel that way, like the whole time that it's happening, like my mind is just like, stop, stop, stop. Like I don't want this to be happening. Like let's just get back to feeling good. Let's just get back to being productive. Let's just get back to like not feeling like the world is ending over like this dumb little thing. But like it feels very non-consensual. Like it feels like it just overcomes me, and I have very little that I could do about it. I'm learning new skills and like trying to be more active in the recovery process of myself. Right, like before my diagnosis, I didn't know that this was a thing, and I had like a lot of internalized ableism about it, and I felt like all of those things, like I just said, you need to toughen up, you need to be doing more, you need to be doing better, and now I am able to give myself more grace, right? Because I'm able to understand like, oh, I'm getting overstimulated, and it's not because I'm not good enough or not this enough or not that enough. It's because I'm autistic, and my mind is wired in a way that like things will overwhelm me, and this will continue to happen because this is just who I am, and that's okay, right? It is okay for me to be overwhelmed and overstimulated to the point where it is almost painful or is incapacitating, because that is just how I'm wired. And so rather than beating myself up about it or trying to hold myself to an expectation of a person who is not autistic or neurotypical or someone who has more tools than me, I just have to like accept where I am, accept who I am, accept how I'm wired, love that about myself, right? And then do the work of like, okay, well, let's identify what these things are, how they affect me, and let's start some like trial and error of what works for me and what doesn't work for me, trying to understand a bit more where my thresholds are. And then also giving myself grace when there's just nothing to be done. Like sometimes it just is what it is, and a shutdown is happening, right? We have reached the limit. The stimulations are too much, right? And we're done. So that being said, I will share a few things that are overstimulating for me, and this is like I have a list in my phone of things as they come up that I keep so I can be more aware of them. This is in no way like a one is greater than the other type of list. These are all just things that I'm picking out randomly here. But I want to mention it because it illustrates like the broad swath of things that can, take me on that road. And how it could be things that you might think, and it could also be things that are seemingly absolutely ridiculous. Like they're ridiculous to me, but I realize that they bother me, and it just is what it is. So, first one on the list here is oscillating fans. I like a breeze. I'm a girl who likes a breeze. I like a fresh breeze from the wind. I like the motion of air flowing through my home via a fan. But I do not like oscillating fans. There's something about like the air hitting me and then not hitting me and then hitting me and then not hitting me versus just like a constant breeze of like air all around me. That just drives me crazy. It makes me incredibly nauseous. It makes me anxious, especially if it's like a warm air. It just feels like so disgusting on my skin, and like I immediately get nauseated by it. Like just like the coming and the going of the air, just like touch it. I can't even like think about it. It's just so gross. Like it just makes my skin crawl. I start getting sweaty. um, and it really just like makes me have this internal feeling of like I need to get out of here. Not even like I need to adjust the fan or change like the way that the air is moving. Like I it sends me immediately to like a 10 of like I need to escape. I need to get out of this room. I need to be nowhere near this situation. Like this is awful. I don't want any more of it. And it really very quickly like overwhelms me, and I need to be done. On the topic of air, I don't like processed air, um, and the best way to explain that is like when you go to the mall, right? Or like some other indoor, like large indoor space, and there's absolutely no access to fresh air. An airplane is a good example of this too. Like there's no access to fresh air, and it's only just like the air that's being recirculated through an aircon system. It just has this like staleness to it, and I just find that so incredibly like suffocating. I don't like to be in the mall for a number of overstimulating reasons, but like I cannot be in there because like I start breathing this air and it almost feels like I'm suffocating. Like I can't get the oxygen from it, and it just like starts putting this red alert in my mind, and I just like again I get that sense of panic. I'm like I can't be in here for very long. Like something bad is going to happen. I really need to get out of here. Like my anxiety is high. Like I start clenching up. My body gets tight. Like I really, really don't like it. And like I try to distract myself with the shopping, but like even that starts to become very unenjoyable because I'm just like feeling this like external pressure from this air. And I just, I hate it. I hate it. Like it makes it like, because it feels so suffocating. Like it feels like my lungs are drying out and then my body feels like it's drying out and I start to get really thirsty. Like I just I don't like it. But also like at the mall and places like that, like very overstimulated, like way too many people, the lights are too bright, it's always very harsh, there's lots of noise, it's very chaotic, there's too much to look at. Like if I go into a store, like I don't know, they're in the mall by me, there's like a Five Below, right, where it's just like these blaring like bright white fluorescent lights, and then like a, 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 an assortment of just like random crap, just like any bit of crap that anyone could ever think of or need in their house, just like all over the place. Like just the large quantity of items is just like so overwhelming. Like I like a store with a focused selection, right? But like a store like that where it's just like a lot of stuff is just too much for me. And like, don't get me wrong, I can go to the grocery store, right? And that's not a problem for me because like at the grocery store, even though there's a lot of things, like I know what I'm there to get, and I get most of the same things every time. And I know what I like, and I know what I don't like. But like when I go to a store like Five Below or like Home Goods, or even Target. Well, we're not going to Target because we're boycotting them bitches. But when I go to like a Home Goods, right, or something like that, it there's all these things that like I know that I don't want them and I don't need them, but like they're there, and then I start considering them, and I think it's like the fact that they're there and they're calling for my attention, and I start considering them starts to become this like sapping of my bandwidth. Like I imagine like my bandwidth being like sucked into each and every little object that's there, and I start to consider it, like start to think like, do I need to find a place for this in my house, or like can I make use of this? Like that's cute. Oh, and and I start like processing the information, and like the processing of the data starts to become incredibly overwhelming for me. So like a store like that is just a big red flag. I cannot go into a store like that because it becomes like just too much, and I'm like I can't look at all these things. I can't imagine them in my life. It's just too much. Okay, so let's see what else. Another good thing on the list here. Hands. My hands are incredibly sensitive. Touch is a very important thing for me. It's one of my biggest love languages. I love to be close. I love to be touching. I like whenever I'm going shopping for something, I need to feel everything that I'm purchasing. I need to feel like the texture of like a fabric or the build quality of an object. Like how something feels in my hands is very important to me. My hand sensitivity is very high. I feel lots of little details. One of my favorite activities to do is sculpting, another big use of my hands. Like tactile feedback is a huge sensory input for me. So I am very particular about how my hands are. And I do not like when my hands are like sticky or slimy or wet. Um, for example, I work as a cook, right? And sometimes I'm dealing with pastry, right? And getting like icing and sugar and sticky business on my hands is just like, I cannot, or even like anything really, like if I'm cutting or doing things and dealing with sauces, or like the second something like gets on my hand, like my anxiety rises to like a level 10, and I need to get it off. Like I'm always having like piles of napkins or towels near me where I'm constantly like wiping things off my hands. Even when I'm at home, like there's always something nearby. I cannot have anything on my hands. I don't like my hands being wet. I don't. I just like the feeling of things on my hands is really gross to me. Like if I put lotion on my hands, like that's a choice that I've made that I want, right? Like I want the lotion on my hands and I'm fine with the lotion being on my hands. I've made the decision to put it there. But even though like I'm working on like, working with food and I'm making the decision to work with the food, I don't like the juices and things being on my hands. It gives me the willies. I don't like the sensation of it. I need to get it off immediately. It becomes the top priority. Like I cannot continue with an activity if I have something on my hands. Like everything has to come to a full stop and I need to deal with it, whether that's just like wiping it off or like a complete wash. It has to stop. I cannot continue. And that's not, and like all of that can happen like in the blink of a moment. Like I could be doing something, I get something on my hands, I'm like, and I just need to like get it off and be done. And it can often happen while I'm not even thinking about it, but like it is a full stop. Like we need to do something about this. This cannot continue. Um, Also related to that, like my hands are very sensitive to frictions. Like I don't like certain types of textures and frictions. Like imagine a like a wood handled steak knife, like one of those ones that has been through the dishwasher so many times. Like the wood is like dry and raspy, but then also like waterlogged when it comes out. Ugh, I hate that texture. Like, ugh, like if I feel like a texture rubbing over my fingerprints, like if I feel like the ridges of my fingerprints being stimulated, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Um, Same thing there. Oh, there was like when we were in elementary school, there were like these book covers that you could like scratch and they're like, oh my god, that texture! Like just even hearing the feeling of someone's fingers going over that texture will give me the willies. I don't like the feeling of like my dry skin rubbing on other dry things, like a dry paper bag, like that dry friction. Really not good for me. I don't like being interrupted. And I know that that's a big thing for other autistic folks. Like having things altered for me is very challenging. And that could be like a change in my day or somebody walking in front of me or cutting me off while I'm talking, or even somebody like asking if they can help me while I'm doing something. It is very, very, very challenging for me to like alter what I'm doing or like alter what I think is going to be happening next. Like I am constantly running like tabulations and equations of like how to sequence events in my mind. Like there's always like a train track that I'm on, like, and it could be as simple as like what I'm doing in my morning routine, or it could be like if I'm at work, how I'm doing a task, where I'm going, or it could just be how my week is planned. But I really cling to like sequence of events, structures, processes. And if somebody like interrupts me with any of that, that is very overstimulating for me. Like I start to get very, very anxious. I get really, really thrown off. It's hard for me to process like information if something goes like off script, or not the way that I think it's going to go, or not the way that I like have it planned to go. And it really causes like that feeling of like coagulation. Like if somebody gets in my way, like I immediately like tense up, and I like almost freeze, and I cannot like continue what I'm doing until like they're out of my way, and then I have to immediately like go back to the task that I'm doing. Like a lot of times at work I'll be like doing something and someone will like cross into my path, and like sometimes I literally like cannot even put the tools down that I'm working with. I like freeze in space because I'm just like that committed and that slavish to my process that like all I can do is freeze. I can't even like accommodate the person, or like move. Like I literally just have to stop, and it's like pressing pause on a video, right? I just stop and then wait till they're done and then go back to what I'm doing. And like the whole time that I'm waiting, I'm at like a level 10. I'm just like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that's happening. Like, how long is this going to take? When is this going to stop? When am I going to get the release? Like, I can't be here. Like, this needs to get done. Like, it just feels like this super, super urgent need to just continue doing whatever it is that I'm doing. And it's just like absolutely suffocating and crushing. And like, if it goes on long enough, it really starts to like break me down. Um, that happens a lot when I'm like doing something and someone's starting to strike up a conversation with me. Like I'm very focused on what I'm doing, and then someone starts to like small talk with me, and I'm just like, oh my God, I cannot like entertain this conversation right now. I need to like focus on what I'm doing. And like it takes everything in me to not have like a very like volatile reaction of just being like, can you just go away? Can you just stop? And like it's a double-edged sword, right? Because like I also really like connection, and I want somebody to talk to me, and I want to like foster a relationship. And I suppose like the more mentally healthy thing would be to be like, hey, like I'm kind of focused on this right now. Can we get back to this conversation later? But in the moment, it's hard to do because I don't think of that, because I just reach this like overstimulation crisis level so fast. I'm just like, oh my God, like what is this person doing? Like, do they not see that I'm doing this thing? Like I can't I can't do both. Like, please just like go away, just go away. Like, please leave me alone. Like, like it becomes so ridiculous so fast in my head. Um, but it's hard. Like, it's really, really hard. Or like, if I'm walking and like somebody it like crosses into my path, like it really just it's just a lot. Getting interrupted is a challenge for me. Um, or even if my day is about to change, like if I have my day structured in a certain way and somebody's like, hey, you want to do this? I'm just like, oh, no, we can't. We already have the sequence of events. We're doing this, and we're doing this, and this is happening. And like, not only is it about the sequence of events, it's about like I'm also like regulating in my mind how much bandwidth that's going to take, and how I'm going to feel, how I sometimes am actively preparing how I'm going to feel. And that is like a form of regulation for me, because I'm looking forward to feeling how I'm going to feel in those things, right? Because a lot of times there are things that I'm familiar with, or things that I like, or even if there are things that I don't like, or unfamiliar things, I've like calculated in my head how they could potentially affect me. So like I've already kind of like pre-planned out this emotional roller coaster of my day and have come to terms with it. So introducing something new to that is not part of the calculation. And it is very, very hard to accommodate, because I can't just like plop it in there, because just plopping it in there like affects everything else. So it becomes like, well, now, like for you, it's just adding this one thing in. But for me, it's like I need to dismantle the entire structure and rebuild an entirely new structure to accommodate this one little piece. And that is a lot of work. And I don't know if I have time to do all that work, honestly, because I've been doing the work to plan for this day for the week before, like a lot goes into the day-to-day ability to interface with the world and get through it without having a shutdown or a meltdown, right? Because like all of these different things, the few things that I mentioned, right, are things that we encounter all the time. And I encounter these things every day, right? And, you know, later in the day I have work, right? And I've already like anticipated, okay, well, there's going to be a drive to work, and that drive needs to go a certain way because I have allotted like a certain amount of bandwidth and emotional regulation to that drive. Like I can tolerate a little bit of traffic, I can tolerate some stupidity, but don't get pulled over because that is not part of the plan, right? And or if there's a a big accident like that really takes me off a detour, like that's something that will really dysregulate me and put me into like a really overstimulated um, place, but I account for that, right, in my daily planning. Like this is how much bandwidth this could potentially take. These are the buffers on either side, and we've settled on an allotment of energy for this. And then I have work, and I know more or less how much energy work takes. I know what to expect at work. I know that I'm going to get my hands sticky a lot, and that's going to bother me a lot. But I like a lot for that in my calculation for the week. But what I can a lot for is like a huge change at work, or like, you know, three people being sick and being the only one working. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't happen often, but things like that. Like I there's a lot of work that goes into all of the ins and outs of my day, and I think that a lot of other autistic people can relate to that. Like it's a lot of work to just move through life for us, and these little things just like are for a lot of other people are just little blips on the radar, but for us it feels like the asteroid that takes out the dinosaurs sometimes, and it really just is a lot. um, but yeah, I'm just looking here at this list again to see if there's one more little nugget I could leave you with before I end this video. This is not a new nugget, this is a similar nugget related to the interruption. One thing that I have been criticized about in my life is not asking for help, um, and or not accepting of help, or trying to just like be strong about things and push through. And I've come to really understand that that criticism is not about not wanting or needing help or thinking I've got it. It's not an arrogance thing. And maybe some of you out there can relate to this. Like I find that for me, the hang up with accepting help a lot of times, like if I'm in a situation and it's clear that like I'm going down, the ship is going down, and I really could use some help. It's often not about a pride thing, really, for me. I've come to realize it's definitely related to being overstimulated because of this like sequence of events, right? That I was just talking about, right? Even if the ship is going down, I need to still be part of the orchestra playing. You know what I mean? Like I am those guys on the deck of the Titanic. Like when the world is on fire around me, I just need to stick to doing what I'm doing, right? Um, and so when somebody interjects and tries to help me, it's very overstimulating to me because even if things are going bad, I'm still clinging to the structure that's gotten me there, right? And to change what I'm doing and accept help from somebody is right back to that same issue of like having to take down the structure and rebuild it. Only now I'm doing it like in the middle of a fire, and it's just too much. It's just too much to like bring in another presence, bring in another person, bring in another energy, alter what I'm doing to allow them to help me. It's just an immense overload. So like turning away help even when I need it is not really like an arrogance thing. Like I know that I need it in the moment, and I really want it, but it's something that I struggle to be able to make room for because the idea of like another presence and energy, and physical insertion into my space and process is just too much sometimes. And so that's a really good example of how like an overstimulation can really be like my own detriment. It overwhelms me to the point where I won't even allow myself to help myself when I know that I need it, because it's just too much. And like I said, like that, things like that are why it feels so non-consensual at times. Like oftentimes I don't want it to be happening to me, but it does. And it's frustrating. But you know, the positive of that is that I know that like all of these feelings are temporary. These are not things that I'm going to feel forever. The way I feel in that moment is not how I'm going to feel for the rest of my life, right? I know that this too shall pass, right? So if I am having a good day and I have, extra resources available to me, I'm able to like steer away or steer partially away and make the situation better for myself. And sometimes I'm not. And that's okay, right? Like I'm going to get another chance tomorrow when I wake up, and I'm going to get a little bit of energy back from my restful night of sleep. And I do have tools and support around me to be able to, you know, grow through this stuff and mitigate it sometimes. But it really can be. It really can give me a chuckle sometimes. The things that come up, I'm just like, really, really, girl, that's the thing that's sending you into a shutdown right now. It's so ridiculous, right? Um, but girl, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. So, if you are like me and an autistic person, and you're dealing with things that are overstimulating and overwhelming, I feel for you. I know it's hard, but do please try to hang in there and have some faith that it'll be okay, and that if you put in some work, you will find ways to navigate it more successfully. If there are things that you relate to that I've said today, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I'd love to hear about things that you find overstimulating. And I've got a long list here. I'm definitely going to revisit this topic in the future and talk about some more things. And if there are things that you would like to hear me talk about more, please put that in the comments as well. I'd love to have a little bit more of a personal back and forth with you guys. But anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you like my content or want to support me in any way, please like and subscribe and hit the bell, like everybody says on the YouTube. I hope that you have a wonderful day. And once again, thank you for tuning in. Ciao.